What's a few million to him to get the Kennedys out of the way? And then he knows, too, who he's working with, and he knows the investigation ain't going nowhere. You're in bed with the CIA and the FBI. How far is the investigation going to go? He knows he's in the clear.
Yeah. Now, do you think that the mob in this case, let's just call it, let's put the mob and Cuban exiles in the same boat just for a second and not worry about the semantics of who officially ended up on the ground, whether it's both or all that. Let's just say they're both brought into this discussion with CIA. I would think that they're going to be left in the dark on pretty much everything other than where their expertise is going to be brought in, which is maybe actually whacking the guy or say whacking Oswald afterwards. And the government is going to say, look, we're already making a deal with you. We're giving you something you want. You're giving something we want to us. But all the details of how this is going to go down beforehand and more importantly afterwards, you guys don't know shit about that.
Yeah. So this is how I did a major heist back then. Back in the day.
During your
time,
rogue days.
During my rogue days. I was known for doing heists. That was my thing. And I was investigated for it and put away by the FBI. That was my thing. If I did a major heist, I would try my best to disassociate pieces. So for example, let's say I need 2 stolen cars. I would ask Alessi, who doesn't know you really. Alessi's from Brooklyn, you're from the Bronx maybe. I would ask him to do me a favor, get me 2 cars, I need them. He don't ask questions, he gets me the 2 cars. I put them on the side. I'd ask you, do me a favor, you got an apartment I could borrow? Maybe I got to bring somebody there for like 2 hours while I get to the safe.
Right.
You do me a favor.
Compartmentalization.
I do that with everybody I could at all times. So when the FBI finally got me for the big stuff, they could never get me. I did all of these things, I separated. So you get one stool pigeon, he's going to go, I got the cause. For what? I don't know. I mean, seriously. So, there was like elements where I only knew how it all worked. So take that now. I'm a bird brain on the streets of New York pulling heists. A naive kid, ignorant in every which way, but smart enough to pull off a heist. In all fairness, but still a bird brain in many ways. I was immature. I was doing bad things. Now take that to another level. You have brilliant guys who are masters of intrigue, like David Ferry is called, the master of intrigue. And he knows how to put the pieces together. And he's doing that on a high level. I'm playing checkers, he's playing chess. And he's doing that with all of these different conspirators maybe. And let me tell you something, when Garrison finally went after Ferry, the day they told Ferry, they revealed him as a chief suspect in the new Garrison investigation when Garrison reopened. Garrison went home, just to give you a snapshot. Garrison went home and he read the multi-volume, 26 or 28 volumes of the Warren Commission report, 888-page final report. And he says, this is a bunch of bullshit.
And he was the DA in New Orleans, right?
In New Orleans, right. That's right. And he goes, you know what? I'm going to open up a case. So he goes after Ferry, and he never goes near Marcello, though. And a lot of people ask smart questions like G. Robert Blakey, who you mentioned for the RICO.
Yeah.
G. Robert Blakey goes, gee, it's real curious how Jim Garrison could go after Ferry with such this crusading spirit, but tiptoe around Marcello.
Right.
And literally they're in bed with each other leading up to the assassination. And after the assassination, Marcello, he's no longer needed in court because Marcello's acquitted the day of the Dealey Plaza hit. The day of.
Oh, he's acquitted?
Oh, man, this is a big part.
Yeah, fill me in.
Marcello is in court for the
Because there's a famous story of Trafficante and Marcello with another context, but please fill this.
This is great. Marcello's in court. Marcello's in court. And he's sitting there waiting for the jury to come back on his case that Bobby Kennedy instigated.
The deportation case.
No, illegal reentry.
Right.
Which stemmed from, you're right.
Which would then involve him being deported.
Correct. So now Bobby is at a big organized crime meeting in Washington that he's chairing, and he's the AG. So he's got prosecutors from around the country, and he's going through this whole thing of how he's going to target the mob. And John F. Kennedy's second term, we're going to step it up even way more than we did this time. We're going to destroy them and dismantle them piece by piece till there's nothing left. That's Bobby's agenda. He's in Washington doing that. Carlos Marcello's in Louisiana on trial. The jury goes out for the illegal reentry / deportation case. If he loses, he goes to jail and then gets deported.
Mm-hmm.
So he's got everything on the line. Everything on the line. Who's in court with him? David Ferry. Oh, it gets better.
On the 22nd.
Oh, it gets better. Gets better. As they're waiting for the verdict, they're waiting for the jury foreman to come back with the verdict. The bailiff walks in. And the bailiff walks up to the judge and hands the judge a piece of paper. The judge looks down, and then all of a sudden, a look of shock goes across the judge's face. And he says, I have very bad news. He says, the president's been shot in Dallas. And the whole courtroom gasps, except Marcello and his brother, who was on trial with him, because they tried to loop the brother in, Bobby did. They're stone-faced. Now, there's no record, I said, of Ferry's expression, but he was in court too. But we don't have Ferry's expression.
How do we have a record of Marcello's expression without cameras?
John H. Davis reported, spoke to witnesses in the courtroom who reported Marcello's expression.
When did they report that?
After the fact. Gosh.
Because that could change.
It could change.
It could be people trying to put it together. Like,
but whatever his expression was, it happened, right? So let's just move that. Ferry's in the courtroom with him, though. That's a given. Now, he's acquitted. And they just get word. I'm sorry, they just get word as he's waiting to be acquitted. Then he's acquitted. Then the jury comes back. Later comes out he bought a juror. He's acquitted.
No
he leaves the court and his family wants to celebrate. And they said he's got something heavy on his mind. And him and Ferry talk, and then Ferry takes off for Texas through a midnight storm. He flies to Texas.
He flies to the scene of the crime?
No, not flies in a plane. I mean flies in a vehicle.
I know. He goes to the scene of the crime?
He goes to Houston, to the Alamo Motel, which is owned by Marcello. And he calls Marcello collect when he gets there. Why did Marcello have a look of consternation on his face? And why did Ferry fly in a panic? They just got word that someone was picked up by the police, Lee Harvey Oswald. When they find out Oswald was picked up by the police.
And who's Oswald to them at that time?
Oswald was not only, there was a guy, Dutz Moret, who was a bookmaker in Marcello's Borgata. Dutz Moret was the uncle of Lee Harvey Oswald, who pretty much took Oswald in throughout his life anytime Oswald had nowhere to go. So that's Dutz Moret. He's a bookmaker for Marcello. He's seen in the company Oswald with other people from the Marcello Borgata. But he may have just been running numbers for Dutz Moret. Okay, maybe. He's also seen with Ferry in Guy Bannister's office, who's a retired FBI agent. And he's also seen with Ferry, he's also seen with Ferry in training camps that Marcello funds and underwrites. And he's also, everybody denies it for years. They said, oh, he didn't know. There's no proof that Ferry knew Oswald. That's a lie. It's a lie. People said they saw him together, but they didn't. Then all of a sudden, a little photograph surfaced of Oswald and Ferry in the same photo together when they did the Civil Air Patrol together. So now it's proven that they at least knew each other then. And we could assume that the witnesses aren't lying when they say they knew each other now. Then other witnesses says they were seen together in Jack Ruby's Topless Bar. And Lee Harvey Oswald was introduced as Lee from the CIA to somebody else. So now there's a lot of evidence that he's connected. Ferry, there's a look of consternation on Marcello's face because he knows that Ferry's definitely connected to Oswald and maybe could be connected to him through Dutz Moret, who knows. And Ferry's in a complete panic. And he drives through the night. I say flies, meaning speeding now. He drives through the night through a thunderstorm, lands in Houston. And he goes to this roller rink and he uses the public phone all day and night there the next day. And he's receiving and sending calls out. Well, at some point or another, this guy, Jack Martin, has a beef with, and this is in that film too, the JFK film. He has a beef with Guy Bannister. They're arguing. And he says, what are you going to do? Kill me like you guys just killed Kennedy? Martin takes out a .357. Guy Bannister takes out a .357 and pistol whips Martin into a bloody pulp.
Yeah.
Martin goes to the hospital and tells the FBI, the prosecutor.
This is in the movie JFK. I remember that.
He says, look, I think they killed Kennedy. And Ferry is always connected with Oswald. They're always together at Guy Bannister's office. So there's a direct connection now. So Ferry's making these phone calls. When Ferry's now realizes he's wanted for questioning by Garrison, Garrison gets Ferry back. Ferry goes, I was at the roller rink talking to the owner about opening up a roller rink in Louisiana. And we just hung out there that day and I talked to him about business. So he goes, I don't believe this guy. He passes him off to the FBI and the Secret Service. They question him. They don't believe him. FBI goes to Chuck Rowland, who owned the rink. And they go, look, is this true? He goes, no, he's lying. We didn't talk about business. He goes, that guy, you.
One of, if not the most common DMs I get on Instagram are many of you asking me what my favorite books are. Well, today's your lucky day, because if you use the link in my description below to join my newsletter, I'm going to give you my top 10 book recommendations right now. Also, if you'd like to join my clipping community for a chance to make money producing content from the show, you can do so via the Discord link in my description below. And finally, you can join my Patreon for early uncensored releases of the full episodes via the Patreon link in my description below. As always, please take 1 second to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. Also, the like button's a big help, and you can join my newsletter via the link in the description below.
Use my phone the whole day, back and forth. He was just making and receiving phone calls. It was weird. So instead of investigating any further, Hoover tells his agents, don't worry about it. Don't follow up. Let him go. We cracked the case. It's Oswald, lone nut.
Why did Hoover want it to just be Oswald?
As we said, there's a lot of evidence that Hoover overlooked leading up to the assassination, likely for want of it to happen. His life was on the line. His life is on. If you tell a man, I'm going to kill you, or if you tell a man who's been the head of the FBI for 4 decades, I'm going to throw you out and leave you in shame and smear you as a homosexual in a society that has not yet come to terms with gay people, you're in trouble. And that's death to a man. That's worse than death. That's a fate worse than death to Hoover.
So he had serious skin in the game to say, we got a lone wolf.
And during the Warren Commission gets a phone call from Texas, and Waggoner Carr, I think it was Waggoner Carr, says to, from Texas, he goes, look, I got some evidence here that it seems to be that we have evidence that Oswald is an informant for the FBI. So the Warren Commission's now in a quandary. They go, what do we do? If Oswald works for the FBI, how are we going to explain this away? So what they did was they kind of was crafty. They sent someone to talk, and they found out it came from a reporter. Someone from the Warren Commission went to Texas, found out it originated with a reporter, and then they went to the reporter, and then they wrote back to the Warren Commission and said, we checked it out. It's just bullshit. The reporter's, shooting beans. Don't worry about it. Well, they said, well, now we still have to ask the FBI, as if the FBI is going to go, oh, yeah, Oswald? Informant number 423. Yeah, okay. So Hoover goes, absolutely not. I spoke to everybody. There's no way this guy was an informant for us. So that's another reason. If Oswald was an informant for the FBI, which it seems he was, and had an FBI number, and we know he had contact with a number of FBI agents leading up to the investigation. Jim Hosty famously destroyed the note, right? So if that's the case, okay, number one is a lot of Americans are going to go, the FBI knew about this guy and you missed him. And number two, what did he inform about? Did he mention anything about, hello, my friends are thinking about killing Kennedy?
Yeah.
And was he Lee who called on Thomas Arthur Valley in Chicago?
Could be.
Could be. And maybe he stopped it in Chicago and they dumped it on him.
Very convenient that a guy named Lee called up, though.
Yeah.
Why would he give the real name?
Yeah. This is also interesting. I'm sure you know this, but cop runs into the school book depository. Oswald's on the 2nd floor.
Yep.
The book, the gun's nest is on the 6th. He's just drinking a Coke. It doesn't look like he's out of breath, nothing. They later tried to figure out, could he have gotten up, all those flights of stairs in that time? No, definitely not, and especially not without huffing and puffing. The elevators were open on the 5th floor. He couldn't have taken the elevator. So it's likely he didn't even fire a shot. Now, that said...
Oh, you think Oswald didn't even fire a shot?
It's possible. I believe he was involved in the conspiracy in some degree. He was definitely involved with the conspirators.
Yeah.
He was close with Ferry. He was close with Bannister.
Because it's why would he be there?
He's
at
there.
Dealey Plaza that day.
He's there.
When he knew all these guys and had been involved with them. And
Yeah, he might have been keeping Chicky on the second floor. Maybe he was, maybe he set up the corner for them to shoot. He had some involvement, but there's evidence that he never fired a shot. The prints, there was none, then there's some. There's the residue, then there's some. There's none, there's some. The photos, we can't find it, then we find it. The gun, we can't find it, then it's Ruth Payne's house. There's a lot of stuff that starts getting very, very cloudy. But here's something else. So leading up to the assassination, even Hoover felt this was weird. Somebody is pretending, and now this is why, by the way, Ferry, the master intriguer, this is an important piece. Leading up to the assassination, Oswald, or an impersonator, is seen in Mexico City trying to get a Cuban visa.
Yes.
Okay, so there's some people swear it's Oswald, some people say it's an impersonator. Let's just think about what Hoover thinks. Hoover says, my agents looked at the pictures and listened to the audio. The agents, this is privately, Hoover says, this came out later. The agents looked at it and said, that ain't Oswald. So somebody's impersonating Oswald. Now even Hoover said long before the assassination, when Oswald first got back from when he defected to the Soviet Union and came back, and by the way, was welcomed back as if some kid said F you to his parents, I'm going hiking in the Alps, I never want to see you again. And then decided his feet were hurting, I'm going to call my parents and ask them to buy me a ticket and bring me home. And his parents forgave him and brought him home. Mm-hmm. That's how easy he came back.
Yeah.
The State Department paid for it, gave him money and brought him back.
Yeah.
So he comes back, and Hoover, from that very beginning, he said somebody was impersonating Oswald, and it didn't look right to him. So Hoover was onto something there with Oswald from the beginning. So there's pieces where not everybody knows everything. So Hoover knows what to ignore, but he may not know what the CIA is doing. And he may not know what the mob is doing other than what the threats are telling him on the eavesdropping devices. So, keep that in mind too. There's moving parts and there's people in the conspiracy where, if let's say Harrelson pops up as a shooter at some point, Harrelson may not tell you, he's not going to tell you, oh yeah, I talked to Hoover and Ferry and Marcello. He don't know, shoot the gun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is like, Alessio got me the cars, you gave me the apartment. I'm going in with two other guys who don't know you got me the apartment and got me the cars. So this is how you compartmentalize, but something strange where, so now why would Oswald, why would an impersonator want it to look like Oswald was trying to get a visa for Cuba? Well, the plan was, and it comes out later, that Ferry's plan was, if we could make it look like Castro, if Oswald was an agent of Castro, and Castro has something to do with the assassination, then the American public will demand an invasion of Cuba, and Kennedy might have effed up at the Bay of Pigs, he might have effed up at the missile crisis, but we ain't going to mess up again. The American public's going to demand. And I think my own theory that I write in the book, there's a couple of possibilities. One is Oswald wasn't supposed to get picked up. And we are led to believe that he was interviewed for 12 hours, but there was no stenographer and there was no audio recordings.
Oh, so convenient.
Exactly. And not only that, one historian, he bent himself into a pretzel trying to explain this, going, oh, why would they have an audio or a stenographer when he just...
I don't know, because the guy just shot the fucking president of the United States,
right.
Allegedly.
Well, and he claimed he just shrugged a lot anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, now, if he just shrugged a lot, you're going to tell me he shrugged for 12 hours and you just kept going? Mm-hmm. That's number one. And number two, aren't we still entitled to a record of the questions? Right? So that's bullshit. You know that. Give me a break. 12 hours. That's like when we were in jail once and a guy went down and he was like agents for like 6 hours and he came up and no one wanted to talk to him again. And he goes, yeah, I just went down. The agents wanted to talk to me. I told them to go fuck themselves. My co-defendant goes, it took you 6 hours to say that? Come on. So that's like, give me a break. So that's another thing. So now when Ruby gets picked up, listen to this. So they wanted to look like Oswald. I think Oswald was supposed to disappear. And we were supposed to think maybe that Castro, that he got the visa and got to Cuba and Castro's hiding him. Then we demand him back and Castro goes, I don't have him. And we go, he's lying, he's holding him, let's go. And we invade. That's a possibility. So is this out of the wind I'm taking this? No. When Jack Ruby was pinched for shooting Oswald, if he did it spontaneously, now he's cooling down in the precinct, And he should be rethinking what he just did, because if Oswald dies at the hospital, he's got a murder rap and he's facing the electric chair in Texas where they fry people like we fry barbecued ribs.
Mm-hmm.
So now he's going, okay, it's better to really just have attempted murder. Okay? So Ruby's waiting to hear if Oswald died. And there's a reporter there who says when Ruby finds out Oswald dies, he's ecstatic. He's thrilled. And he should be the other way. He should be going, oh shit, now I'm really in trouble.
And what was because he did it right in the open in front of fucking 100 people.
He goes, now we'll invade Cuba. That's an awful
But he's still fucked.
He's still fucked, but I'll tell you why he didn't care he was fucked. First he goes, now we'll invade Cuba. An awful big geopolitical deduction for a topless bar owner. Okay? Mm-hmm. A little off your, a little above your pay grade. Now we'll invade Cuba. Okay, so why did he do it? You know you're getting caught, right? If he was supposed to get rid of Oswald, or maybe J.D. Tippit was, or the corrupt Dallas police who were with Ruby. Ruby had the whole department on speed dial. He was corrupting them all. Ruby was going in and out of the precinct from the moment Oswald was picked up. Ruby's floating around that precinct. Seth Cantor, Vic Robertson, another reporter later testified, but Seth Cantor said he was desperately trying to get near the interrogation room and he had a gun with him. And he's going, he couldn't get near the interrogation room. He couldn't get a clean shot. He wanted one, day one, the first night. Then they said they brought him downstairs to a basement thing. And he's looking and Seth Cantor said, if he wanted a shot at him, he had no business being there, by the way.
Of course he didn't.
You're owner of a topless bar.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
Exactly. Unless you have press credentials or police credentials, you're not supposed to be anywhere near the president's assassin. So that's like saying they just tried to kill Trump and me and you just walk over to the precinct and just start floating around the precinct with the guy who tried. Right.
Take a look around.
Totally bullshit. So now I think this is what happened. We're led to believe Oswald never said nothing, but for 12 hours, like we just said, I think he said a lot more than we're led to believe. And I think the Dallas police were telling Oswald, he's talking. Now,
Ruby.
I mean, Ruby, telling Ruby, he's talking more than he should be. And it's coming, it might fall on you. Now, Ruby's got a decision to make. If Oswald's talking, because he's been in there for 12 hours.
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you.
If Oswald's talking, would you rather be, if you're Ruby and you conspired to kill the president with Oswald, you got two choices. You wait for the police to break down your door and bring you and put you away, or you clip Oswald and the American public cheers you as the savior of the nation, which they did. They clapped. When he shot Oswald in the basement, the people outside were going crazy, cheering and clapping. And Ruby said, I ain't getting nothing more than a cakewalk, maybe a couple of years in jail. I'm a hero. He was looking to hire an agent to get him book deals and TV deals. Mm-hmm. He wants to hire an agent. A lawyer walked in at one point and he goes, are you my agent? And he goes, no, I'm your lawyer. So, I mean, total bullshit. And now the guy, his real lawyer, Tom
Howard. But like you
said,
even in Texas, they fry you like they fry barbecue chicken.
Right, but not okay, they just came out in droves. Even though there's some radicals that hated Kennedy, they came out in droves to cheer Kennedy. It was a huge response to him, the motorcade. Hundreds of thousands of people packed the motorcade route. They were cheering Ruby for shooting Oswald.
I know, but I'm saying, like, you were still saying Texas doesn't give a fuck. They're still going to try him for
he's
murder.
got a shot, but he's dead either way. If Oswald's talking, he's dead either way.
Right, so he's saying,
take a shot.
Yeah.
Now, before he does that, by the way, he's pacing in his apartment. He's throwing up. He's nauseous. He's a nervous wreck. He can't he's totally deconstructing in front of his roommate's eyes. And he's calling people like he's never going to see them again, going, hey, Jules, I haven't talked to you in years. I love you, brother. Always remember I love you. And you're like, what the fuck you calling me for? And he's doing this, and he's acting like a man on death row. Mm. And then all of a sudden, once he shoots Oswald, he's like, oh, it feels a lot better. And he's feels like a new man. And he's like, I'll beat this case. And literally, they did a poll, and they said something like 77 people out of 100 thought that he shouldn't get much time, if any at all, in Texas. Because they felt like the normal people, not the radicals who hated Kennedy, but normal people are being polled, and they're going, and those are jurors. Yeah. They're going, you know what? He shot Kennedy's killer. He's a hero. And now he comes up with this thing he says, I shot Kennedy to be to help so that Jacqueline Kennedy, First Lady, wouldn't have to endure trial. And then later he admits that was a bunch of shit to somebody else and says, my first lawyer, Tom Howard, told me to say that. And the other thing is he's flat broke. And this mob lawyer, who does celebrities too, Melvin Belli, swoops in to represent him. And apparently he was given $1 million to do it. And he said, I did it.
Who gave him the money?
This guy, Cy Ellison, said that he got a phone call and he said, look, if Belli will take the case, there's $1 million in it. And Cy said, hey, it's our boys are calling our friends, meaning the mob. They're offering $1 million to pick up the thing for the president's assassin, the case, the Oswald's assassin, Ruby. If you pick up the case, and he took it. But apparently then later, Belli didn't say he got $1 million in cash. He claimed that, I did a pro bono, get a book deal later. He's got to say that. William Kunstler, when William Kunstler used to swear to everybody he does cases for free, William Kunstler took $100,000 from me on the first day in fucking cash. In cash, he took $100,000 from me in cash, and then tried to claim that he was representing me out of the goodness of his heart. And it later came out in a biography.
Well, there is goodness of his heart when there's some cash involved.
Somebody wrote a biography about Kunstler years later, and they listed the truth that Ferrante paid Kunstler $100,000.
There you go.
Along with they said he represented other mobsters. He always claimed he did it for free, but he didn't. I think Belli did the same thing for Ruby.
Got it.
Yeah, I think so. So that was the goal. Ferry's goal was to get rid of Castro and Kennedy in one shot. And we stopped Cuba, and we stopped the domino effect, which meant that the proliferation of communist ideology throughout Latin America, which is what they desperately wanted to stop.
All right, real quick, I just got to go to the bathroom, but we'll be right back.
You got it.
All right, we're back. The thing that I'm wondering about while you're talking through all this, though, it's great details, but we keep coming back to the Cuba thing and that angle, and we're mostly mentioning either mobsters or people that were involved with the United States government. But where are some of the Cuban revolutionaries in the middle of this, and who are they reporting to? The biggest
guy that I could place at the center of it, there's actually two we could go to, but Sergio Arcacha Smith. Sergio Arcacha Smith. So let's go back first. Pepe San Roman was the head of the guy who was on the beaches with the Bay of Pigs, and he's mad. He's a guy, and they come out of this all mad. A lot of the militant ones who were trained by the CIA, they're pissed. But there's a guy, Sergio Arcacha Smith, who's out of New Orleans at one point, but he's been floating around. But he's out of New Orleans for the most part, and he was sort of the head of this CIA organization that wanted to sort of like an umbrella group that would keep all of the various Cuban exile groups in one sort of like in one pot. Like you have all of these Cuban exile groups springing up that concerns the CIA. They want to be able to control them and have a handle on them. And through Sergio Arcacha Smith, he's sort of the boss of this umbrella group that contains all of the other militant Cuban exile groups that want Cuba back. And he's trying to like keep them in one basket for his own reasons and for the CIA. So now, at some point or another, when they're defunded and Sergio Arcacha Smith is out of government money because of the Kennedy administration kind of said, that's it, we're not going to back this anymore, and they were left out there, Arcacha Smith suddenly befriends David Ferry, and David Ferry is suddenly walking around. David Ferry was always known to have no money. He was a broken down valise. He lost his job with a major airline, and now he's kind of like down and out. Yeah. And all of a sudden, he's walking around with crisp $100 bills. And somebody said that they believed he's starting to feed money to Sergio Arcacha Smith as well, and funding the exiles, David Ferry is. And they believe that the crisp $100 bills are coming from Marcello, going to Ferry, and over to Sergio Arcacha Smith. So that's sort of like one of the main conspirators. Now, later on, during the Jim Garrison case, when Jim Garrison goes after David Ferry and refuses to connect Ferry to Marcello because it later came out that he was in Marcello's pocket, Jim Garrison, he goes after Ferry, and Ferry says, I'm a dead man. The second you come after me, I'm a dead man. So now there's something interesting going on that Oliver Stone curiously left out of his movie.
Yeah, how do we know that Garrison was in Marcello's pocket?
Well, Garrison was tried twice, and the government went after Garrison. And they only went after him because he stepped out of line by going after the government. So Garrison decides he's going to blame it on the CIA, and he's looking at Ferry, eventually turns to Clay Shaw. But originally, when he's going after the government and saying there's a conspiracy here, and it goes to the CIA, rogue agents of the CIA, the government all of a sudden sends people down there to look into what Garrison's looking into, but not with the intention of finding out what Garrison finds out, but with the intention of smearing Garrison. So then all of a sudden they go to their media contacts, the CIA does, and there's all of a sudden these hit pieces coming out on Garrison and his connection to the mob. And all of a sudden it gets dug up. Now they would never, even though it was probably true that Garrison was overlooking. He liked Marcello. He said he's a good guy. He was seen going to dinner with Marcello's brothers. He dismissed a lot of mob cases. There was an incident where a mobster had a heart attack in his house during a mob/campaign meeting for the mob, politics. So it came out. And so later on.
That wasn't in the movie.
Yeah. And later on, they accused Garrison of taking money under the table from the mob. Garrison beat the case, was tried again, tax evasion, beat the case. He beat 2 cases, but he was dragged out of his house early in the morning by FBI agents. And it would have never happened unless he shook a tree that he should never shook, and shook a beehive he should have never shaken. That's how they felt, the government. So the government went after him. But, however, the government had a lot to find when they started looking. So Garrison definitely Marcello owned the whole state machinery. Don't forget that. So Garrison's part of that machinery. He's the prosecutor, governor, mayor. He's got them all. So, and when asked, Santo Traficante's attorney goes to visit Marcello at one point after Garrison opens up the investigation into the Kennedy assassination. This is a few years after it happened. And he says, look, are you worried? The attorney knows that his client's Traficante's involved somehow, and Marcello. And he goes, look, are you concerned about this? And he goes, nothing to worry about. He's my man. And he goes, really? And he goes, he looked like the cat that ate the canary. He goes, he was like absolutely smug about it. He goes, nothing to worry about. He's my man. So now I wondered, was Carlos Marcello so confident that Garrison not only wouldn't look at him, but did Carlos Marcello, when the nation was starting to demand answers and people were starting to talk about, did the mafia do it? Did Carlos Marcello, one better, maybe put Garrison up to leading the scent away from him, away from Marcello? Not for sure, but you can't rule it out as a slim possibility. Slim possibility, maybe. So Garrison now, another person, when you asked about the Cubans, there's a guy who's connected to Santo Traficante in Florida.
A Cuban?
A Cuban. His name is Eladio Del Valle.
Eladio. Yeah. He ends up dead.
Well, Garrison goes looking for him and finds him in a shopping center in Miami with an axe wound in the center of his skull and a bullet wound in his heart. Yeah, and they tortured him. Yeah. So now Ferry first goes, I'm a dead man. So they put Ferry in protective custody. And you mentioned the Fontainebleau in Miami where they met with the CIA, but there was another Fontainebleau in Louisiana. New Orleans. So they put him up in there and they're protecting him, Garrison's guys. But now Garrison wrote a couple of books about the assassination, and I can't find anywhere where Garrison just kind of jumps from Ferry asked for protective custody, Ferry was found dead in his house. I'm like, whoa. Let me go back a few pages and read this again. I must have missed something. So I go back and read it again. Ferry asked for protective custody. Ferry was found dead in his house. I'm like, Garrison's leaving a big piece of the picture out, and I'm not sure why. So I picked up Garrison's other book, read it cover to cover, and I'm like, Ferry was asked for protection. We provided it. Ferry was found dead at his house. I'm going, oh, he's doing the same shit again. Why is Garrison hiding what happened between Ferry wants protection and Ferry is found dead at his house? So then I dig deeper in other sources, out-of-print books, archives, newspapers. What happened was Ferry says, I'm a dead man. I need protection against unknown people. He doesn't state who he needs protection against, so we're told. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. He gets put into the Fontainebleau. Somebody's watching him there. That guy switches. His shift is done. He wants to go home to his family. Another guy comes in. But then that guy who comes in to watch Ferry at the Fontainebleau runs out for cigarettes. And Ferry all of a sudden goes home. So either there's something strange happening. One is, why do they leave Ferry alone even for a minute? Why didn't you run out for cigarettes? Why didn't you come with cigarettes? Or why didn't you tell the other guy, do me a favor, grab me a pack before you leave, or give me another 10 minutes, I'm going out for a pack. Somehow, somewhere, you can't leave Ferry alone.
Yeah.
Now, does Ferry think when they leave him alone, are they setting me up? The Fontainebleau in New Orleans was built with Teamster funds, and Santo Trafficante, whenever he visited Marcello, would stay there. It's a mob hangout, and mob may be backed. So now he's going, okay, maybe they left me for a reason. So he gets spooked and goes home. Garrison left all this out. He goes home, and now he's found dead at his house. But it's a little weird that he's found dead because they said, well, he left 2 suicide notes and he committed suicide because there's 2 suicide notes. But it was an embolism in his neck. So how is it an embolism or his brain, his neck? Wait a second. Did he kill himself? Usually people before they commit, they know an embolism is coming.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
You can feel it.
Right. You can feel it coming. And then you start to maybe run around the house and get your blood pressure up a little more and then write 2 suicide notes really quick.
That's exactly
so the whole thing's
what you
really
do.
strange. Right. So Ferry gets clipped, I think. Ferry is found dead, let's say. We don't know.
He was clipped.
Let's say, yeah. He's gone in New Orleans. Eladio Del Val's gone in Miami. Del Val was connected to Trafficante. Ferry's connected to Marcello. It's a little odd that they go right away together as soon as Garrison opens up the investigation. So then Blakey asked a really important question.
Robert Blakey.
G. Robert Blakey says, hey, look, and this other guy, Noyes, a reporter, they both asked these questions at the time. They go, it's really odd that Garrison links Ferry to the conspiracy and Eladio Del Val, but can't see past that. He doesn't see that Ferry's always with Marcello. And also, too, when they went into Ferry's house, they find records that after Ferry was working for Marcello during the trial, long after, Marcello buys him a gas station. Why would Marcello buy Ferry a gas station? And
he's a really nice guy.
Exactly. So they said, well, the people who try to dismiss it go, well, he worked for him during the trial. He got paid during the trial. And you don't buy somebody who works for you.
Yes, you do. Exactly. If you pay them during the trial, it is custom in American customs that you buy them a gas station right afterwards. And that's how it works.
And I had a number of trials I've been through. And anybody who helped me, I bought them gas stations.
Yeah, you bought them a gas station.
I always did.
That's right.
I bought one guy a Mobil, another guy an Exxon.
100%.
Yeah. So it happens. So it's a little, exactly. I mean, it's such shit we're being shoved in our throats for 60 years.
It's so comical when you look at this case, and you could go, if we had one of those giant, investigation boards up here, and you had all the red strings going to the middle.
From Homeland.
Yeah, exactly. At every single string, there's a complete and total comical lie that's been fed to people. Right. Not even oh, yeah, this is kind of true, but it's slightly different context. No, they're no, this isn't true at all. Don't look here.
Right.
Oh, this guy's dead. Don't worry about it.
Don't believe your lying eyes.
He's a gangster. What do you want?
Yeah, exactly.
It just, it offends the human spirit.
It does. It really does. They've been serving us this line of shit for 60 years.
Yeah.
So, and I think we're going to get a little more of it. Let's not be surprised if the dump doesn't really turn out to be what we're expecting. If I was the head of the CIA, and I was hell-bent on preserving this information, destroying it, I had 60 years to do it. I mean, come on. And, so.
That's what I'm saying. And also, of whatever is there that's going to be coming out, it's really, really maddening when you hear a guy like Mike Pompeo, who's in charge of the CIA,
despicable.
Talk about it is despicable. Talk about how I told President Trump it, and he talks about it with glee. I told President Trump it shouldn't be released, and it's not a big deal. There's not much there or anything. And
that means you looked at it though. He shouldn't have looked at it without us seeing it.
The reason that he's saying it shouldn't be released, he's like, well, there's names and addresses of people who are still around.
Yeah, okay.
And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Let's even give you sympathy on that for a second. Let's say there are a few 80-year-old people who are still around and they have kids that have nothing to do with this.
I think Ruth Payne. Look for Ruth Payne, by the way.
Who's Ruth Payne?
Ruth Payne was the one who took Oswald in. She's still alive. Ruth Payne's name may pop up.
Okay, but that's what I'm saying.
It's bullshit, but I'm just saying, keep an eye out for it.
If it's that big a deal, fucking redact their names.
Right.
And I wouldn't even like that.
Right.
But all right, if you're worried about a few people who are alive, just fucking redact their name and their address.
Right. And tell us as soon as they're dead, we'll let you know.
Yeah.
Right. It's
That's
bullshit.
better than nothing.
Yeah. Well, this is the guy who was trying to kill Julian Assange. too.
Yes.
So
yes,
I mean,
reported in Yahoo News
Yeah.
back in 2021,
Yeah.
and I think that if you read that report, that is a long report.
Yeah. I haven't read the whole
Very
thing.
long report.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty reasonable that he was trying to do that.
Yeah.
Which is like crazy because I understand that no countries, when it comes to espionage, are actually friends. Like that is how it works. Like no one's fucking friends. But to try to whack a journalist who has unrelated to journalism bullshit charges in Sweden, let's even say hypothetically they're true, and they're not, but who has been given asylum in an ally country, your probably best ally, the UK, within another part of that country, which is the embassy for another sovereign country, Ecuador. The brazenness to try to whack that guy.
The balls.
It's insane. I mean, I get it. There's weird shit that goes on, but like that's not, you want to talk about, oh, well, we want to be a more free, transparent, government. That's not helping, bro.
Yeah. It's all a lie, though. It's all, they don't want transparency.
They don't.
They're desperately trying to stop. They're using every excuse to stop just right now trying to find where the money goes with the whole Doge thing. And you could argue you might not want Musk in charge of it. I happen to love Musk as a businessman, an entrepreneur, as an innovative thinker, as a spaceman. I love him as that.
As an unelected billionaire being given access to all the money.
I would say the optics are horrible.
Yep.
I would say that you probably, maybe it's better just for optics to get someone else. However,
I agree.
However, that said, it's a noble cause.
Yes,
I mean, he's the guy.
I also agree.
And I believe he single-handedly saved free speech by buying Twitter, by purchasing
It's
Twitter.
definitely a good move.
It's a big move. It's a step in the right direction. It's not complete. It's a step in the right direction. I think without him, I mean, we were really, if you think about how doomed, I thought censorship was going to rule for the next decade.
Yeah.
Or maybe a few
Scary.
decades. Yeah, I really thought that we were headed for that. And then all of a sudden you see this guy walking with a kitchen sink and he turns it all over single-handedly. It takes a lot of courage to do that.
He changed the tide. Look at Zuckerberg now trying to get on the train. You even see some of the like fucking Sundar Pichai's up there on the stage at the inauguration with Trump, like clearly listening. Bezos clearly listening or appearing to listen. I guess. Yeah. I'll believe actions when I see it, but listening to the sea change, it's very, very interesting. And I am a fan of Elon Musk. I think the guy's a brilliant man who truly loves what he does, has some unbelievably noble causes. And like, I just think he's great. Does that mean I like every single thing about him? No. And
that's life though with everybody.
Right. And that's exactly right. And there's some gray area with people. And I think Elon is like a little bit too caught up, like a little kid in the excitement of all this. And like one of the things that it's like a really dangerous thing to say when you think about free speech and what it's supposed to mean. But one of the things I said back in late 2022 when he took over is I'm like, this is a really big move potentially for humanity and within this country, especially for free speech. And I think that is amazing.
I think he almost single-handedly saved it at that moment.
I think that's amazing. Yeah. But I could see that he was starting to inject his own opinions into things more. And as someone who outside of Saudi Arabia and Vladimir Putin is probably the richest guy in the world, the optics of him buying a platform just for humanity, even if that's what he did, and I actually think he might have, and then using that platform to throw out his own opinions all the time made me nervous, and I'll tell you why. First of all, he's completely within his free speech rights that were, this is like a giant paradox, that we're completely fighting for in getting this platform taken back. So you'd say, well, why do you have a problem with that? I'm saying that we had let this get to a point from a free speech perspective in this internet 2.0 age that was so bad, that if the optics of a billionaire buying the platform that's going to be his own personal playground in a sense are going to come up, that would also look bad. And so if Elon Musk truly bought it for humanity because he wanted to save free speech, this is a paradox to say, people, I understand this, but I said this back in 2022 and I feel stronger about it today. If he wanted to buy a platform where his sole goal was to save free speech, he might have needed to think about sacrificing his own in the process. Because right now, and I understand, like the last 4 years with Biden and Harris were not good. They did a horrible job. The American people were lied to every day because, I mean, Biden wasn't even alive. I mean, it was terrible. So I fully understand where the pendulums of society are. But when you become like the number one Trump funder and every single thing that you tweet out, even before he was doing this Doge thing, is so hardcore in one direction, and you are the most viewed algorithmically person on the app and you own it, optically, it's not the best look.
This is what I'll have to say to that. So, and I'll probably come around to close to what you're saying, but not all the way.
You don't have to.
Yeah, no.
That's why we talk here.
Yeah, definitely. So there were for a long time we had to deal with Zuckerberg doing it one-sided.
Yep.
The guy from Twitter before, Musk.
Yep.
Doing it one-sided. Bezos at one point.
Absolutely.
Was one-sided. And then all of a sudden, I think Musk is the first one who's gone one-sided, but the wrong way. The wrong way.
Yeah, I don't like saying it like that.
But that's how the people who are attacking him, not necessarily you, but the people who are attacking him are going, well, we like it when it's the right way.
That's right.
And we don't care how many trillions and gazillions you have, as long as you're saying what we like, or doing what we like, or shutting down stories or ignoring them. But if you go that way, we really have to attack you. So now he's the first one who comes under fire, where the rest of them sort of like ducked all the bullets and had no really like, okay, a couple of indie guys are yelling about us, but all the mainstream media is quite fine with us.
That's right.
Right. So that's what I feel like. That's why it gets hard to listen to it now. All the attacks on Musk. I'm like, well, you didn't have a problem when Musk was your prima donna, number one. You didn't have a problem with Bezos. You didn't have a problem with Zuckerberg. You didn't have a problem with, again, what's his name from Twitter before?
Jack Dorsey.
You didn't have a problem with Dorsey completely blacking out the laptop story.
That's right.
And you told us shut up when we said, you can't do that. It's free speech. So now, and I don't mean us because I don't mean I'm right or left. I'm trying to look at it objectively. Now you see Musk in him, and I will say this, though. I said I could meet you a little on this. I would say Musk is such an incredible genius. Please get us to Mars. Leave the politics to other people at this point. He has such a brilliant mind. We're only going to have you for a small time on Earth. If you live to 100, it's a flash in a pan.
Yes.
So we only have your brilliant mind for a small amount of time. You could get us to Mars. You could do innovations that are beyond our level of thinking. The guy's like, he's got like the mind of like almost like an increased intelligence of an alien or something, like from a different planet or
sphere. He could be an alien.
Who the hell knows? He's that brilliant. He's that brilliant.
He is brilliant.
So me, as if I was his friend, I would say, look, Elon, you saved free speech in America. Okay. And now you've done great things by kind of shifting this whole Doge program into where government efficiency is so important. Our money is being pissed away for so long, and it's being robbed and everything else. And like the other side is trying to go, well, you're allowed to look into the money that's being,
bullshit. You should absolutely be allowed. This USAID stuff is bullshit.
It's a lot of,
and I love that he's exposing that.
I know a colonel who was stationed in Afghanistan for a long time, and he goes, you have no idea the money we spent on programs there that would make your head spin.
Yep.
The other thing too is we told women, so the party of women, why I was a little mad at them, the party of women, women's rights, we're the party of women, women's rights. The party of women and women's rights did a pullout in Afghanistan where all those women we told for years that you should tell your husband you have rights. You should be an anchor woman. You should be a cop. You should be whatever you want. Don't listen to your stupid masochistic husband who's from the dark ages. Then we just pulled out and left them to be raped and killed. And we're the party of women. I don't want to hear that either. You know, like after we dumped all of that money into women's rights and trans rights and all those other things, and then we pull out and we left all of those. We said, oh, they're cavemen. You don't have to listen to them. They're in charge. So, I mean, to me, it's like one thing after another. But getting back to Musk, I would say, okay, look, Elon, we need your brain for humanity's sake, for innovative ideas, for invention, for the great things that you've done. You pushed electric cars when nobody was able to put it together and pull it off. We talked about it for decades, but nobody did it till really him. SpaceX is an incredible thing. I mean, this is like, I love reading about the whole quest for the moon. And since then, I wrote a thing. I one day I'll recite it, but about us getting there. And it speaks to Musk. It goes to Musk. It's like an ode to him because he was going to get us there. And all of a sudden, I feel like this is a major distraction.
Yes.
So I feel like if you now ease out of politics, maybe get back to being the genius that you are for all of humanity. So I do agree on that front. But in the meantime, he's done incredible things. You got to love the guy. He's done incredible things for this country. This guy comes here with nothing. It's not like he was given billions of dollars. His father was a little bit of a hustler. He comes here, he makes his own way. His mother never had anything. And, his mother was
he's the American dream.
Totally American dream.
Like there's no doubt about it. And I think it's a beautiful story. And I hate to see people attacking him with that. But the point you make, though, about how the platforms that had always gone one way and now that one is going the other way,
everyone's
now it's a problem. I completely agree. It's so hypocritical. And that's the really hard part.
But I don't want it to go that way either. I want it in between. I want
that's
it free.
The point.
Yeah.
That's the point. When I look at this, it's just human nature, right? It's very hard for me to put myself in his shoes and all the attacks that he is.
Is he censored? Because I'm not on Twitter. I got an account, but I don't do nothing. Is he censoring anyone from the left? Is any of that happening now where you could accuse that it's one way and there's evidence to base it?
Censoring is a strong word. I haven't seen. So I wouldn't make.
It is free speech.
Yes, I think it's been very solid free speech. There's been some weird shit that isn't necessarily like just left people, by the way, where accounts still get suspended on some things where it seems a little sketchy, but I don't have enough in front of me to really publicly go with that and make a full opinion. There's some stuff that looks a little sketchy, but I'd like to give the benefit of the doubt there.
Yeah.
My thing is when you point to it going one way in the past and now it's suddenly a problem just because it's going what they view
as the
wrong way.
Right.
What you're talking about is something I cite all the time on this podcast in a million different contexts because it's the most important thing about the laws of the universe and how we relate to each other and how physical matter works and everything. And that is one of the universal laws of physics, which is for every action, there is an equal but opposite reaction, which creates an equilibrium. And the wider range of the actions, the most violence to get to equilibrium. And I'm a guy that always wants to be as close to equilibrium as possible. In a perfect world, we'd always be there, but that's not really possible with human nature. That said, for a situation like this, as hard as it is, and I can't even imagine how hard it is. I don't even know all the things behind the scenes that he knows and the bullshit he sees and the crime that's probably committed against him. As hard as it is.
Hey guys, if you haven't already subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's a huge, huge help. Thank you.
The best opportunity with this would be able to take the high road and not politically go back against it and try to just create the middle ground free speech platform without injecting your opinion, even though that is, again, and I admit this, it's hypocritical to the idea of free speech because that means it should be free speech for everyone, from the poorest guy to the richest guy. So it's a tough pill for even me to swallow when I explain it. I just wish it didn't get so politicized. And with independent media, and I don't want this to be twisted and sound any way. There's so many guys that I respect the fuck out of, for example, who went to the inauguration. And going to the inauguration is the American inauguration. Your president's coming in. That's fine. The optics of how some of this looks, though, is tough for me because I do my best. I'm sure I fail sometimes, but I'm always trying to look 10 years out. And all the things that we disliked in independent media about the mainstream media, righteously so, about the lying they did, the one-sidedness they did, all these different things that happened.
Anymore.
Yeah. I don't want that anger to turn into people nestling up too close to the other side and becoming from the other side the very thing that they don't like.
If you love America, the realm, then you want a strong center. And that's when the country is healthiest. It almost goes to if you're centered as a person, right? You don't throw yourself into one hobby or another too much. You have to stay centered. You don't drink too much. You drink in moderation. You have fun in moderation. You have quiet time in moderation. You need a balanced lifestyle.
Yes.
I feel like a country is almost like a human body. And we are the body of the country, the people. And I always feel like a country needs to be centered as well. And I like a strong center. Now, having said that, I do feel like it pulled off. I feel like you have Musk, you have RFK Jr., you have Tulsi Gabbard. These are former Democrats who went this way because they felt like this aligns more with their values as former Democrats.
Because things got so out of whack.
So out of whack. So they've lost, I felt like, the center on the left a lot.
Yes.
Where I'm socially progressive. I'm fine. I have friends who are gay. I'm fine if a woman gets an abortion as long as it's an early month. You know, where you know, the hard left is they should be able to get it to the last minute. The hard right is no abortion, period.
Also crazy.
So yeah, I'm where most Americans are, where like, hey, you know what? There are issues. Sometimes you can't force a woman to take on something for the rest of her life. If it's early enough, please allow that to happen.
I got you.
You get it. So I'm very socially progressive, but I feel like now you're going to tell me it's okay to look, I'm for transgenders too. I was in jail with transgenders. I stuck up for them.
You just don't want dicks in a women's bathroom. Yeah.
No, and I don't want a man beating
Neither
up a woman or racing a woman. Give them their
right.
own category. I said that from day one. So, you know, this is like, and give them all of the respect that's due. Their humanity. They're God's children. Whether you want to admit that or not, there's one God. I believe in a one monotheistic. Me, you, every gay, every transgender, every male, every female, we're all one, we're all the children of one God. So everybody is equal, deserving of equal rights, the same rights. And if anybody's rights are violated, I'd be the first one to jump to defend them. I did it in jail. I do it on the street. So that's I have no problem with that until you violate someone else's rights in defense of one person's rights. And I felt like that stepped over the line.
That was starting to happen.
It was starting to happen. So
and I get it. Lou, I understand. I've seen the pendulums in society over and over again. I've seen it flip in both directions, and I always try to fight the flip. So I'm not faulting people for seeing those flaws. There's no doubt. There's no doubt about it. And I was not in the least bit surprised that Donald Trump won the election. And I could make a very good case that he 100% deserved to, just based on how crazy some things had gotten. And so people, hopefully we can learn a lesson from that as a society, and maybe we can incentivize some more moderate voices. The problem is moderate voices are not what get clicks. What gets clicks is extremism. And I see it over and over again. And, you know, I know there's a lot of people who think like I do. I know that. And I know a lot of them are listening right now. There are not a lot of people who get attention who think like I do. And that's a really tough thing that I wrestle with. And a lot of that is because people who think like I do don't even want to, they're like, fuck what all these other fucking people are saying. I don't want to get involved with this. And I respect that. It's just like, it's very hard to get those voices to win because it's such a team society now. And it's extremely disappointing that like we can never have some sort of gray area on an issue. It's either your team A or your team B. And that just, that not only does that go against my nature, that goes against human nature.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I felt like there was a series of mistakes made over the last several years that really opened up a lot of people's eyes. I mean, yeah, I mean, I mean, we could go on with that conversation. We could go on
and on and on. The USAID stuff, again, I wish it was someone else doing it just for optics.
You could get in any pit bull, any forensic. I remember I mentioned Carmine Bellino, Bobby Kennedy's like forensic accounting pit bull. There were a million absolute geniuses in there that could go in there and sniff out that stuff and get to the bottom of it. And we would then preserve Musk's mind for great things. So I remember one time I was reading about it. I think it was Isaac Newton and the great Isaac Newton, right?
The great Isaac Newton.
Right. He was like in charge of either like, I think like he was either in charge of the treasury or the currency, and he was chasing counterfeiters. And when I'm reading it, I'm going, we lost Isaac Newton's mind to that crap. Yeah. Any like
where's your time spent? 100%.
Any like really good dogged investigator could have did that, and we preserve Isaac Newton's mind for Isaac Newton stuff.
100%.
It's almost like having Da Vinci. You got one shot with Da Vinci.
So why are you digging through USAID if you're Elon?
If I had Leonardo da Vinci right now, I would say you ain't going near any of that. Please, Da Vinci, focus your mind on all these great things. So that's not even real criticism.
No, I understand what I completely agree.
Yeah, it's just not,
like, I don't like the optics.
It's a compliment to him. He's
I don't like the
genius.
optics, and I also agree with that point you just made. What I don't want to get lost in it is that it's not fucking awesome that, like, the USAID stuff, for example, is coming out. I'm so glad that's coming out.
Let it come out.
None of it surprises me.
Yeah,
There's not. They haven't read one thing where I'm like, no way. I'm like, yeah, it sounds about right.
Yeah.
But the fact that the people are getting access to that, and the fact that there are people who are so lost on the left side that they can't even admit that this is fucked up is crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know, and so
those are extreme cases.
That's what I'm saying.
That's why you need a strong center.
Yes.
You need a strong center. Just what we just did. We talked about it and we said, okay, fine. This is fine that he's exposing it. Maybe not, the optics of it might not be right. And I say I'd rather have his brain also doing other stuff. So there's reasons why you'd want somebody else to replace him, but it's not that it's a bad thing.
Right.
It's a damn good thing. But the people who are at risk of losing the billions of dollars that are being stolen are the people who galvanize to push attention against, to tarnish it. That's where it's coming from, just so you know.
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.